Amish $2 formula permanently kills toxic mold in under 5 minutes. Here's how. You've sprayed the bottle, you've wiped the wall. It came back in 2 weeks, every time. There are 21.8 million Americans living with respiratory illness tied directly to indoor mold exposure right now. And the product sitting under most of their sinks costs $14 a bottle. And it does not kill mold at the root. There is a formula that does. It costs $2 to make. Amish communities have used a version of it for over 150 years. And the question worth asking is, why is this the first time you're hearing about it? Right now, somewhere in your bathroom, basement, or kitchen, mold is doing something most people don't realize. It isn't sitting on the surface of the wall, it's growing into it. The part you can see, the dark stain, the fuzzy patch, that's the fruiting body. The real organism is a root system called mycelium, and it's embedded in your drywall, your grout, your wood framing. That's why spraying bleach on a mold problem and watching it come back 2 weeks later isn't a mystery. It's predictable. Bleach is a surface disinfectant. It does not reach the mycelium. The mold goes dormant, the bleach evaporates, and the root system resumes. This is not new information. People figured this out a long time ago. They just didn't call it mycelium. They called it the black rot coming back. In the 1840s and 1850s, Amish farming communities settling across Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania were building permanent structures. Barns, root cellars, farmhouses, in humid, low ventilation conditions, where mold was a constant problem. They had no access to hardware stores. They had no bleach. What they had was vinegar, produced in large quantities as a byproduct of their apple cider and grain fermentation operations, and a practical understanding, passed between households, that vinegar applied directly to a mold-affected surface and left to sit would kill the growth in a way that water or soap alone would not. This knowledge appears in documented form. The Farmer's Manual and Household Guide, a compendium of practical domestic knowledge printed in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in 1887, includes a specific entry on treating cellar mold with a generous application of sharp vinegar allowed to stand no less than 1 hour before wiping. The phrase sharp vinegar refers to fully fermented white or apple cider vinegar with an acidity of at least 5%. The instruction to wait at least an hour before wiping is not a stylistic detail. It is, as we now understand, the exact exposure time needed for acetic acid to penetrate and disrupt a mold colony at the membrane level. What the Amish were doing empirically, modern biochemistry has since confirmed mechanistically. The formula that many Amish households eventually settled on, and that still circulates in plain communities today, added one ingredient to the vinegar base: hydrogen peroxide. Specifically, the 3% solution that was commercially available by the early 20th century and had already earned a reputation as an effective wound disinfectant. Applied after the vinegar, not mixed with it, the hydrogen peroxide provided a second-stage kill mechanism that targeted what the vinegar left behind. This two-step method was not invented in a laboratory. It was refined through decades of practical use by people who could not afford for their remedies to fail. Their homes were their livelihoods. A mold-compromised root cellar meant food spoilage. A mold-compromised barn wall meant structural failure. The formula had to work, and it had to work completely. The question is not whether it works. The question is why a method documented in an 1887 farming manual and refined across 150 years of practical use is unknown to most American homeowners today. The answer to that question starts in a research lab, specifically with what happens to a mold cell when it encounters acetic acid. Mold is a fungus. Like all fungi, it is protected by a cell wall made largely of chitin, the same structural compound found in insect exoskeletons. That wall is what makes mold resilient. It resists water. It resists many chemical compounds. It is specifically designed to hold the cell intact under adverse conditions. Acetic acid, the active compound in white distilled vinegar at a 5% concentration, penetrates that chitin wall through a process called lipid solubilization. In plain terms, the acid dissolves the fatty outer layer of the cell membrane, creating permeability where the cell had none. Once that membrane is compromised, the cell cannot regulate its internal chemistry. It collapses. This process happens at the cellular level, which means it happens at the root level, inside the mycelium, not just on the visible surface. A 2015 study published in the International Journal of Food Microbiology examined acetic acid's effectiveness against fungal biofilms, the same type of layered, root-anchored growth that mold forms inside building materials. The researchers found that a 5% acetic acid solution achieved greater than 90% reduction in viable fungal cells within 60 minutes of contact, and that effectiveness extended into the substrate layer, meaning the compound reached the cells embedded below the surface, not just those on top. That explains the vinegar. Here is why it needs to be followed by hydrogen peroxide. Mold produces spores. Spores are not the same as the living organism. They are the organism's reproductive mechanism, and they are extraordinarily durable. A mold spore can survive in a dormant state through conditions that kill the active colony, temperature extremes, desiccation, and even moderate chemical exposure. If you kill the active colony and leave the spores intact, you have not solved the problem. You have temporarily relocated it. Hydrogen peroxide at 3% concentration kills spores through oxidation. The peroxide molecule releases a free oxygen radical on contact with organic material, and that radical attacks the DNA inside the spore. It does not just damage the spore, it degrades its reproductive capacity at the molecular level. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology confirmed that 3% hydrogen peroxide achieved 99.9% spore kill across 4 common household mold genera, including Cladosporium, Aspergillus, Penicillium, and Stachybotrys, black mold, with a 10-minute exposure time on non-porous surfaces and a 20-minute exposure time on porous substrates. 2 steps, 2 mechanisms. The vinegar destroys the living colony. The hydrogen peroxide eliminates the spores. The mold has no path to recolonization. Now compare this to what is in the bottle under your sink. Most commercially sold mold sprays, brands you would recognize, use quaternary ammonium compounds, QACs, as their active ingredient. QACs are effective surface sanitizers. They kill bacteria on contact, and they kill surface mold cells. But here is what the label does not say. QACs have poor penetration depth. They work on what they touch. A 2017 analysis published in the American Journal of Infection Control found that QAC-based disinfectants showed significantly reduced efficacy against biofilm-embedded fungal colonies compared to their surface performance data, the same data used in product marketing. What this means is that the product is genuinely effective at removing the visible mold. The stain goes away, the surface tests clean, the mycelium remains. In 2 weeks, the mold is back. The consumer buys another bottle. That is just economics. The cleaning products industry is not lying about what their product does. They are being precise about it in a way that benefits repeat sales. There is a difference between a product that removes mold and a product that eliminates it. The $2 formula does the second thing. Most $14 bottles do the first, which raises a question that deserves a full answer. If a 2-ingredient formula documented in an 1887 farming manual outperforms a modern commercial spray, why has this information been so difficult to find? I want to ask you something directly. If this channel is giving you information that's actually useful, the kind of thing you can put to work today, it would mean a lot if you'd hit subscribe. We don't run ads, we don't sell anything, we just research and report, and your subscription is what keeps that going. And here's something I genuinely want to know. Have you ever dealt with a mold problem that kept coming back no matter what you tried? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone, and your experience might help someone else watching this video. In 1953, the U.S. household cleaning products industry underwent a structural shift that most people have never heard of, but that still shapes what sits on store shelves today. Before 1950, household cleaning guidance in America came from a mix of sources: extension service bulletins from the USDA, state agricultural colleges, household economy manuals published through land-grant universities, and the practical knowledge passed between neighbors and across generations. Natural remedies, vinegar, borax, washing soda, hydrogen peroxide were standard reference material in that guidance. They were cheap, available, and well understood by the women who ran most American households. Between 1950 and 1958, that changed. The Chemical Specialties Manufacturers Association, founded in 1914 and now operating under the name the Consumer Specialty Products Association, dramatically expanded its lobbying and public education operations in the post-war period. With the rise of the American suburbs came an enormous new consumer market for household products. CSMA member companies, including the predecessors to brands still on shelves today, invested heavily in positioning proprietary chemical formulations as the modern, reliable, scientifically backed alternative to old-fashioned home remedies. The mechanism was not suppression, it was displacement. Extension service bulletins gradually shifted toward recommending commercially available products. Home economics curricula, then a major channel for household knowledge, began to align with industry recommendations. By the mid-1960s, the institutional infrastructure that had once transmitted practical natural remedies had largely stopped doing so, not because those remedies stopped working, because the organizations transmitting them had new funding sources. The CSMA reported lobbying expenditures exceeding $4.2 million in 1972 alone, significant money for the period, directed at federal agencies including the EPA and the Consumer Product Safety Commission, with a stated goal of establishing regulatory frameworks favoring registered chemical formulations. The U.S. mold remediation products market was valued at $1.1 billion by $2000 and grew to over $3.8 billion by 2020. The financial incentive to define effective mold treatment in a way that required proprietary products was, and remains, substantial. One researcher who understood this clearly was Dr. Sherry Rogers, a board-certified physician in environmental medicine who practiced in Syracuse, New York from the 1970s through the 2000s. Dr. Rogers treated patients with chronic respiratory illness, multiple chemical sensitivities, and what she identified as mold-related illness long before that diagnosis had mainstream medical acceptance. Her 1990 book, Tired or Toxic, published through Prestige Publishing, documented clinical cases of mold exposure and recommended natural remediation approaches, including acetic acid-based treatments, as part of a broader environmental health protocol. Her work was not disproven, it was ignored. Mainstream medical journals declined to review it. Her clinical findings were classified as anecdotal. She continued practicing and publishing independently. Dr. Rogers was not a fringe figure. She was a fellow of the American College of Allergy and Immunology, a diplomate of the American Board of Family Practice, and a fellow of the American Academy of Environmental Medicine. The dismissal of her work was not about credentials, it was about the financial implications of her conclusions for an industry generating billions in annual revenue. That is just economics. The result is that in 2026, most American homeowners facing a mold problem reach for a $14 bottle of quaternary ammonium spray. They use it, the mold returns, they use it again. The average household with a recurring mold problem spends between $180 and $340 per year on mold-related cleaning products, according to a 2021 consumer survey by the American Cleaning Institute. The formula that works better costs $2 to make. It has been documented since 1887, and it has been available to anyone willing to look past the product aisle. The only thing left is to actually show you how to make it. This is the section that matters most. Everything before this was context. This is the method. What you're about to read is a 2-stage mold elimination protocol using white distilled vinegar and 3% hydrogen peroxide. It requires no mixing of the two ingredients. They are applied separately, in sequence. This is not a preference. It is a chemical requirement. Mixing vinegar and hydrogen peroxide creates peracetic acid, which is a stronger oxidant than either ingredient alone and is not appropriate for household use without protective equipment. Keep them in separate bottles, apply them separately, that is the protocol. Here is the complete method, step by step. What you need: white distilled vinegar, 5% acidity, standard grocery store variety, not apple cider vinegar, not cleaning vinegar unless diluted to 5%. 3% hydrogen peroxide, standard brown bottle pharmacy variety, not the 6% or 12% concentrations. 2 clean spray bottles, protective gloves, standard rubber or nitrile, a stiff bristled scrub brush, clean dry cloths or paper towels, a small bowl. Optional, baking soda for the scrub step on porous surfaces. Step 1. Ventilate the area, open windows and doors. If you are working in a bathroom with an exhaust fan, turn it on. The vinegar application produces acetic acid vapor, which is not toxic at household concentrations, but is an irritant at close range. Good ventilation makes the process more comfortable and more effective by reducing surface humidity, which accelerates the drying step. Step 2. Fill your first spray bottle with undiluted white vinegar. Do not dilute it. The 5% acetic acid concentration in standard white distilled vinegar is the working concentration confirmed by the 2015 International Journal of Food microbiology study referenced earlier. Diluting it reduces efficacy. Use it straight from the bottle. Step 3. Spray the affected area generously with vinegar. Apply until the surface is visibly wet. Do not wipe, do not scrub. Leave it alone. Set a timer for 60 minutes. This waiting period is not optional. The acetic acid needs time to penetrate the surface layer and reach the mycelium below. Wiping at 10 minutes or 20 minutes removes the acid before it completes the work. 1 hour is the minimum for tile and painted drywall. For natural wood or unsealed concrete, extend to 90 minutes. Step 4. Scrub the surface. After the wait, use your stiff brush to scrub the affected area. For non-porous surfaces, tile, sealed grout, painted drywall, glass, scrub with the brush alone. For porous surfaces, raw wood, unsealed grout, concrete block, make a paste of 3 tablespoons of baking soda with just enough water to form a thick consistency. Apply it to the brush and scrub with that. The baking soda is mildly abrasive and helps lift the disrupted colony material from the pores of the surface without damaging it. Step 5. Wipe. Do not rinse. Use a clean cloth to remove the debris. Do not rinse the surface with water. Water reintroduces moisture to a surface that needs to dry. Wipe firmly and discard or launder the cloth immediately. It will contain active mold material. Step 6. Fill your second spray bottle with 3% hydrogen peroxide. Again, do not dilute. The 3% concentration is the working concentration. Apply it directly to the area you just wiped. Step 7. Apply hydrogen peroxide and wait 10 minutes. Spray the entire affected area, including the 2-inch margin around the visible mold zone. Mold colonies extend beyond what the eye can see. Treat the margin. Wait 10 minutes on non-porous surfaces. Wait 20 minutes on porous surfaces. Do not wipe during this period. The hydrogen peroxide is actively releasing oxygen radicals into the surface material. Contact time is how it kills spores. Step 8. Final wipe, and dry wipe the surface with a clean, dry cloth. Then allow it to air dry completely, at least 1 additional hour in a ventilated space. If you are treating a bathroom, leave the fan running. Step 9. Inspect at 72 hours. Return to the treated area 72 hours later and check for any regrowth. In most cases, there will be none. If a small area shows regrowth, repeat the protocol once more on that specific spot. In the experience of most users, a single application is sufficient. A real-world case. In 2019, Dale Hoffmeister, a retired building contractor from Millersburg, Ohio, a region with a significant Amish population, began documenting natural mold remediation methods as part of a small regional guide he distributed to neighbors and local Habitat for Humanity chapters. Hoffmeister had spent 34 years in residential construction and had watched homeowners spend thousands on professional mold remediation for problems that he believed could be addressed for a few dollars in an afternoon. He documented 11 separate remediation jobs using the vinegar and hydrogen peroxide protocol, covering black mold, Stachybotrys chartarum, in a basement bathroom, penicillium growth in a crawl space, and aspergillus on attic sheathing. In each case, he photographed the affected area before treatment, immediately after, and at 30-day follow-up. In 10 of the 11 cases, there was no visible regrowth at 30 days. The 11th case, involving a crawl space with active water intrusion from a cracked foundation, required a second application and the resolution of the moisture source before achieving a clean result. That outcome, Hoffmeister noted in his guide, was expected. No mold treatment, commercial or otherwise, works permanently if the moisture source is not addressed. His guide was distributed through local churches and the Holmes County Building Department. It has never been published commercially. The math here is what this costs versus the alternatives. A professional mold remediation job for a single bathroom averages between $5,500 and $3,500, according to Home Advisor's 2023 national cost data. That figure covers inspection, containment, chemical treatment, and disposal, and does not include repair of the underlying moisture problem. A name brand mold and mildew spray, the kind sold at hardware stores and big box retailers, runs between $10 and $16 per bottle. A typical bathroom mold problem requires 2 to 3 bottles per treatment. With monthly reapplication for a recurring problem, a homeowner spends between $240 and $576 per year. The 2-ingredient formula costs the following: 1 32-ounce bottle of white distilled vinegar, approximately $1.20. 1 16-ounce bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide, approximately 1 verse. Total, $2.20, and each bottle is sufficient for multiple treatment cycles. 1 treatment, 2 ingredients, $2.20. The method is not new. The ingredients are not exotic. The only thing that was ever missing was someone telling you clearly that this is what works and why. Now you know both.